Imagine this. You wake up in the morning and decide to have tea instead of coffee. A small, ordinary choice. But pause. Ask yourself, why did you choose tea? Did you truly decide? Or did something deeper, something unseen, push you toward that choice? Was it your own free will? Or were you simply following an invisible script written by your past experiences, your subconscious mind, or even something beyond yourself? We believe we are the authors of our thoughts, the masters of our actions. But are we? What if every choice you've ever made, every action, every belief, every desire, was not really yours to begin with? What if free will is nothing more than an illusion, a trick of the mind to make us believe we are in control? Think of a moment in your life where you had to make a big decision, choosing a career, ending a relationship, moving to a new place. At the time, it felt like a conscious, deliberate choice. But let's look deeper. What shaped that decision? Was it your personal preference, or were you influenced by your upbringing, societal expectations, fears and desires? Could you have truly chosen differently? Or did everything in your past, the books you've read, the people you've met, the traumas you've endured, push you inevitably toward that choice? Science, psychology, and philosophy all point toward a disturbing reality. Our thoughts and actions may not be as free as we believe. From birth, we are programmed. The language you speak, not your choice. You were born into it. The culture you follow, not your choice. You inherited it. Your moral values, not your choice. They were shaped by religion, education, and social conditioning. Every day, millions of thoughts pass through your mind. But where do they come from? If you sit in meditation and observe, you will see that thoughts arise on their own. You do not summon them. They appear uninvited. If you had complete free will, you should be able to stop your thoughts at will, command your emotions to change instantly, or decide to be happy or sad like flipping a switch. But can you? The great sages and spiritual teachers have long recognized this truth. The self we believe is in control is merely an illusion. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, all actions are performed by the modes of material nature. He who thinks, I am the doer, is deluded by false ego. You are not choosing, you are being moved. But if free will is an illusion, what is really controlling us? And more importantly, is there a way to wake up from this illusion? If free will is an illusion, then what is really driving us? What invisible forces pull the strings behind every decision we make? To understand this, we must break through the illusion of self-control and look deeper into the machinery of the mind. Science tells us that nearly 95% of our thoughts, emotions, and actions come from the subconscious mind. That means only 5% of our decisions are truly conscious. Think about that. Your habits, preferences, fears, and desires are not choices you actively make. They are pre-programmed responses shaped by past experiences, traumas, and conditioning. Why do you crave certain foods? Memories of childhood comfort, advertising influence, or biological survival mechanisms? Why do you feel drawn to certain people? Unconscious patterns from early relationships dictate your attractions and fears. Why do you react emotionally in certain situations? Buried wounds from the past control your present reactions, even if you don't realize it. The subconscious decides first, and only after the decision is made, the conscious mind steps in with a rational explanation to justify it. The truth is disturbing. You think you are making a choice, but your choice was already made before you even became aware of it. The ancient sages of India understood this long before neuroscience. They called this unseen force karma, not just as a system of reward and punishment, but as an intricate web of actions and consequences stretching across lifetimes. Every action you take is shaped by the momentum of past actions, not just from this life, but from countless lifetimes before. The people you meet, karmic ties from the past, the struggles you face, unresolved karmic debts, the patterns you repeat, cycles you have not yet broken. Karma is not about divine punishment. It is simply cause and effect. Your choices are like a river flowing from the past, and no single drop of water can suddenly choose to flow in another direction. It is carried by the current. So ask yourself, if my actions are dictated by past karma, am I truly free? Perhaps the greatest illusion of all is the belief that there is a stable, singular self making decisions. But look closely. Where is this self? The person you were 10 years ago is not the person you are today. The thoughts you had yesterday are not the same as the ones you have now. The emotions that define you in one moment disappear the next. If you had true free will, you would have a permanent, unchanging identity. But everything that makes up you is constantly shifting. So who is the one making choices? The great non-dual teachings of Advaita Vedanta and Buddhism reveal a shocking truth. There is no separate self making choices. What we call I is simply an ever-changing stream of thoughts, memories, and perceptions. In reality, the one who thinks, the one who chooses, and the one who acts are all illusions. Then the question arises, if I am not truly in control, is there any way to break free from this illusion?
If everything you do is shaped by subconscious conditioning, karmic patterns, and an ever-changing sense of self, then is there any way to break free? Or are we forever trapped in this illusion, mere puppets in a cosmic play, believing we are making choices while being silently controlled by forces we cannot see? The ancient sages, the enlightened masters, and the realized beings tell us one thing. Yes, you can break free, but not in the way you think, if the first step is to realize that you are not your thoughts. Right now, sit still and observe. Thoughts arise on their own without your permission. Desires come and go. Emotions rise like waves and then fade away. But who is watching all of this? If you can observe your thoughts, it means you are not your thoughts. If you can watch your emotions, it means you are not your emotions. This is the first crack in the illusion. The moment you step into the role of the witness, the silent observer behind the mind, you are no longer controlled by subconscious conditioning. You see the patterns instead of being trapped by them. This is why meditation is not just a practice, it is a revolution. It is the only way to step out of the illusion of free will and glimpse the deeper truth. If you are not the thinker, you are the awareness that watches the thoughts. If you believe in free will, you must believe in a separate self that is making choices. But as we have already seen, this self is an illusion, a collection of past experiences, memories, and conditioning. So what happens when this illusion dissolves? This is what the great sages call moksha, liberation, or nirvana, extinction of illusion. Ramana Maharshi said, the only freedom is the freedom from the illusion of the self. Buddha taught that suffering comes from clinging to a false sense of I, and the moment you see through it, suffering ends. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita tells Arjuna, you are not the doer, actions happen through you. The moment you realize that there is no separate you choosing anything, a profound shift occurs. The fear of making the wrong choice disappears, because you see that choices arise naturally. The burden of guilt or regret dissolves, because you understand that everything unfolds according to divine intelligence. You no longer act from ego, but as an instrument of something greater. This brings us to the final, most powerful realization. True freedom is not about controlling life. It is about surrendering to it. If free will is an illusion, then the only way to find peace is to stop struggling against life and start flowing with it. This is why the great spiritual masters do not resist what happens. They do not fight with fate. They align themselves with the deeper intelligence of the universe. Lao Tzu called this the Tao, the effortless flow of existence. Krishna called this bhakti, surrendering to the divine will. The Buddha called this letting go, releasing attachment to the illusion of control. When you surrender the false idea of free will, you do not become powerless. You become limitless. You stop overthinking decisions because you trust that the right path will reveal itself. You stop fearing failure because you see that all events serve a higher purpose. You stop identifying with the ups and downs of life because you know you are not the doer, you are the witness. This is the great paradox. The moment you stop clinging to control, you become truly free. So now the final question. If free will is an illusion, who or what is really in control? If free will is an illusion, then what is orchestrating the movements of life? Who is behind every thought, every action, every unfolding moment? Is it fate? Is it karma? Is it divine will? Or is it something beyond all these concepts? This is the final and most profound question. The one that dissolves not only the illusion of free will, but the illusion of separation itself. The ancient yogis and sages of India saw reality not as a collection of individual choices, but as a vast, interconnected play of divine energy. They called it Lila, the cosmic dance of existence. And at the center of this dance is Shiva, the eternal consciousness from which all things arise and into which all things dissolve. The wind does not choose to blow. It moves according to the deeper rhythms of nature. The river does not decide its course. It follows the pull of gravity. The planets do not have free will. They move in perfect alignment with unseen cosmic forces, and so do we. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions are not personal choices. They are part of the greater unfolding of universal intelligence. You are not separate from life. Life is moving through you. When the sages say, "You are not the doer," they do not mean you are powerless. They mean that you and the universe are one, and what you call your choices are simply movements of the whole.
If you look deeply enough, you will see that the illusion of free will is built upon another illusion, the illusion of the separate self. Who is the I that wants control? Who is the me that thinks it is making decisions? When you search for this self, you will never find it. It is like a mirage in the desert. You chase it, but it always disappears when you get close. This is why the great enlightened beings laughed when asked about free will. They saw through the dream. They realized that there is no separate individual to have free will in the first place. What remains when the illusion dissolves? Pure awareness, the eternal presence, the absolute reality beyond thoughts and choices. In this state, there is no fear because there is no separate self to defend. There is no struggle because there is no resistance to what is. There is no question of free will because there is no one left to ask the question. This is moksha, this is liberation. So what happens when you awaken to this truth? How do you live once you realize that free will is an illusion? The answer is found in effortless action, what the Bhagavad Gita calls karma yoga. You continue to act, but you no longer act from ego. You continue to make choices, but you no longer cling to them as yours. You continue to live, but you are no longer trapped by the illusion of control. This is what the great masters embodied. Krishna in the battlefield acting without attachment, Buddha in meditation moving without resistance, Lao Tzu flowing like water, choosing without choosing. They were not inactive, they were not lost in nihilism. They lived fully but without illusion. And now, so can you. Stand still for a moment. Feel the breath moving in and out of your body. Did you choose to breathe? Or is life breathing through you? This is the great mystery. The river does not ask where it is going. It simply flows. The sun does not question its purpose. It simply shines. The universe does not seek control. It simply is. And so, the final realization is not about proving or disproving free will. It is about seeing through the illusion entirely and awakening to something far greater. You are not the thinker. You are the awareness behind the thoughts. You are not the doer. You are the space in which actions arise. You are not a separate self struggling to make choices. You are the universe unfolding effortlessly. When this is understood, not as a theory but as a direct experience, there is only silence, only peace, only truth. There is no longer any need to ask, am I in control? Because the one who asks the question was never real to begin with. Om Tat Sat.